Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing the Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT. You can see this 43mm teak deck dial Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see this handsome dual time coaxial chronometer and purchase it on our website. Remember, you can see additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and of course complete pricing details for this Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT on our website by clicking the card in the upper right-hand corner. Alright, what is there to say about this watch other than that it's a beautiful combination of color, proportion, features, and value. This watch hits on all cylinders. Of course, the Aqua Terra, sandwiched between the flagship no-holds-barred Planet Ocean Pro Dive watches and the 300-meter entry-level watches on the other side. The Aqua Terra is the surf turf watch. No rotating bezel. It's not a professional diver, but it's still tough. At 150 meters water resistant, this is designed for aquatic activity, and with a free-sprung balance and a full balance bridge, it has a tough sports watch caliber within. So let's talk about this watch and how it fits before we talk about how it fits into your lifestyle. The watch is 43 millimeters across the round of the case, so 43 from 9 to 3, not inclusive of the crown. The watch is reasonably slim. All things considered, this is an easy watch to wear underneath a suit jacket cuff because though 14.3 millimeters is not ultra slim by any means, the back of the case has a little bit of a cup profile, so it sinks down your wrist when you actually size the bracelet and strap it on, and then there's a generous slope to that conical bezel, so it should not have any trouble clearing a cuff, certainly not a jacket cuff. From lug to lug, the watch is reasonably compact, 51.5 millimeters. You'll note on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist I'm having no trouble wearing that watch. I do believe down to about 14.5 centimeters circumference you should be able to wear this watch comfortably and with a good sense of fit, proportion, and panache. One of the reasons for that is that the bracelet itself does not have any kind of impediment to its curvature around a smaller wrist. It doesn't want to flare out. It doesn't have large extended end links. It doesn't have any stiffness to it. You can easily pull it down around the tight curve of a smaller wrist. The watch is hefty. In the hand, it's like a modern Rolex in the sense that the solid links, the solid clasp, the robustness of the case construction, everything imparts a feeling, almost the sensation you would get with a full bracelet gold watch from just a few years ago. This is an immensely substantial watch. It has real mass just as it has real class, and you'll note that because it's not a professional diver, it doesn't have the cumbersome outcropping of a dive style clasp. It's a simple double deployment with twin trigger action. Twin triggers, again, what I would always recommend you seek out on a watch that's going to see active duty. Whenever you have a large, heavy, and expensive article for your wrist, it should stay there. It should be secure, and twin triggers give you the best insurance against accidental opening and droppage that you can get in the luxury watch space. This is the way they should all be made. You'll also note that the bracelet is sized entirely with screws, no pins and sleeves. And because I know someone's wondering, if you were to put a aftermarket or OEM strap on this watch, the lug spacing is 21 millimeters. So this is a watch that has a lot going for it. I should mention one more important measurement. If you were to actually take the outermost link, you can see how the link protrudes just slightly beyond the lug end. If you were to measure it absolutely across the wrist, you would get a measurement of 53 millimeters, but the watch effectively wears like 51 across the wrist. Let's talk a little bit about the case. Simple, beveled, and handsome. Vertical, and as you can see, sheer orientation of the case flank. It doesn't have much curvature when viewed top to bottom, but it has a wonderful loft and arc when viewed from the flank, and that's accentuated by a linear satin grain. You also note that the bevels are nicely polished. It's not a professional style diver, but it does have a little bit of the beveled profile that's shared with the 300s and the Planet Oceans, as well as the Speedmasters for that matter. It's a distinctive Omega case form. The bezel is simple, polished, and conical, and the dial is a standout. I mentioned teak deck earlier. That's not not to imply that the dial is actually made of teak. It is what Omega has long described as the teak deck concept, because the Aqua Terra is an aquatic watch as likely to be worn on the deck of a yacht above the waves. You have that handsome linear striation that runs top to bottom, almost like an old Rolex tapestry dial, and it gives a little bit more definition to the plane. You'll also note that this watch has a beautiful metallic blue dial base that has a wonderful warm glow in soft light, and all of the indices are polished, faceted, and applied with plenty of luminova. So yes, there will be a lume shot at the end of this video. You'll note there's a 24-hour scale, so there's a 24-hour hand with the red index that traces one circuit of the dial per calendar day. There is a date judiciously stuck between 5 and 7 to keep the dial balanced. There is a broad arrow style minutes hand that makes it easy to read off the minutes of the day, and a delta style indicator for the continuously running counterweighted seconds hand. Outboard you can see a scale for reading off minutes or seconds. And finally, you do have dual time capability, as the local hour hand can be set independently of the 24-hour hand. It is a true dual time. So you do have the ability, if you wish, to set that red index to Greenwich Mean Time. Many will simply set 2 time zones relevant to them. As you can see, I can jump time zones 1 hour at a time, traveling east or west. I can even drive the date in both directions without hazard to the movement as I jump the international date line. And note, none of this stops the watch from beating or actually keeping time to the second as I'm traveling. Now, if I do want to set precisely to a reference time, I can pull the crown out, and the caliber 8605 will hack or feature stop seconds. The screw-down crown and the robust screwed-in caseback architecture endow the watch with 150-meter water resistance. It does feature a silicone hairspring for anti-magnetism. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. 60-hour power reserve, twin mainspring barrels in series, so it's a very precise watch. Due to the twin mainspring barrels, you get the longer power reserve, the 60 hours, but you also get a very even release of torque from minimum wind to maximum wind. You'll note the silicone hairspring for anti-magnetism, but also a dual-anchored balance bridge with a structure on both sides supporting a balance that also features a free-sprung index, the two features combining to make the watch highly shock resistant. It is a COSC chronometer, but it's important to note that with its coaxial escapement, it has better long-term timing stability than a conventional chronometer, as well as reduced long-term maintenance needs. This is the latest tri-level coaxial escapement that finally realizes a lot of the original engineering goals that George Daniels first wrote down and codified for Omega before this was serialized in production. Omega did not get it right out of the gate, but with the 8500 series from the mid-2000s and the 9300 chronographs based on those 8500s, Omega created a movement that is both unerringly accurate and incredibly tough, and this is the fruit of all those developments. You also note that the style of the movement is rather individualist, with a spiral or arabesque Côte de Genève across the bridges as well as the rotor, and blackened, not blued or polished screws. A handsome watch, distinctive on both sides and highly practical, with a universal size that should suit most wrists. A combination of blue dial, abundant lume, and simple, no-nonsense steel case to suit most tastes. You can see this Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT, a coaxial chronometer, and own it on our website. Okay, Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra GMT. Blue dial by day, blue dial by night. Note that you can read both of the time zones, the stubby local hour hand with its 12-hour format, as well as in the upper right hand, the triangular index representing the GMT hand or the 24-hour indicator. See the watch by the light of day on our website.